Morning, everybody. 21st of July. We're Signal Centre talking ball. Joe Neighbour, Ian Coleman, Steve O'Hare. Morning, guys.
Morning, all.
Morning.
How are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strong start across the board this morning.
Yeah, very strong.
For those that haven't seen the headlines overnight, it was another marathon session yesterday in the European Summit, where they're trying to come to some sort of arrangement with regards to a support package, and a 750 billion euro amount was confirmed, with 390 billion in grants and 360 billion in cheap loans. The funds will be raised by the European Commission using its AAA rating, while there'll be no changes to EU rebates. So we saw Euro briefly strengthen on that announcement, and lots of high-fiving or high elbows.
Loads of high elbows.
I used to love an elbow trade in the pit.
Yeah, slightly different. Risk on this morning as a result of that, and it's all looking rosy again.
Hunky dory, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all going to be short-lived.
Yeah, possibly. Just chucking more cash at it and plugging some holes in the short term, kicking the can down the road.
There's a bit of a slowdown in the infection rates as well yesterday, weren't there? So maybe
that would help then as well. That haven't been mentioned today.
Bit of a double whammy.
Vaccine potential as well. Obviously, we're talking about Oxford University and Synirogen provided somewhat of a muted response given fears over a potential difficulty in finding a solution to the stimulus. Oh, that's something totally different. There was some positive news out with regards to vaccines, which has helped boost risk sentiment as well. Anything you guys looking at on the charts?
The only market that really has perked me up is silver. Again, look at this. It's going back to nearly 4 years, the last time we were up here. So at last, it's sort of like making headway. And obviously compared to gold had a sort of small squeeze high yesterday, but silver's definitely the silver lining, but it's still got a long way to go.
Wow.
In terms of where we're looking back at 2011, 38% retracement is $26. This is a very key level. You can see it was previously a really solid line of support, the swing low on multiple occasions, and when it eventually broke lower, it acted as decent resistance. We've got this high back, I think it's 21.15, highlighted on the resistance this morning. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I like it. So 26 next stop, $26.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight, obviously, but it's definitely got decent potential, especially if there's sort of like this safe haven continues. Brilliant.
Yep.
That's the only really one I really stood out.
Well, looking at gold, I break out of that channel on the intraday chart, so that's pushing up to new highs. Looking for a retest on that if we can get it today to continue buying dips. Really, I can't see any other way of playing that at the minute.
Yeah.
Looking at other markets, I was quite interested in your FTSE chart this morning, Steve, just because we've seen a decent push higher in most of the indices, but FTSE is decidedly the laggard. Oil's up over 1%, so you'd have thought that that impact would have pushed them higher. What is dragging the FTSE down at the minute? Your chart may be a better view actually, because you've got that big old resistance level.
Cable rally maybe.
Yeah,
Cables had a good rally, especially yesterday.
Yeah, probably sort of dollar weakness. Dollar weakness definitely impacts on FTSE. So yeah, I presume it's that. We're just not getting carried away. I don't know if it's the sort of like outlook for Brexit as well. It's sort of like keeping a lid on things. If it does break, it'll have a really decent rally. But I just think from a risk-reward perspective, it seems like this area, especially everything making, Nasdaq making all-time highs, and other markets, other indices pushing, to multi-year highs. So I think it's just something's not quite right here. So risk reward perspective, it's worth a little tickle on the short side. It'll provide some sort of
I
hedge
agree.
if you are long of equities elsewhere. It's not a bad little hedge, I think. If you do want to hedge, buy a garden.
Oh,
There you go.
Cracking advice there.
That's my mate. Cheers, Paul Makins. He told me that.
Oh, nice one, Paul. I did see a stat on Twitter about the Nasdaq yesterday versus the S&P. So the S&P made on an equal weighted basis. So obviously the index is weighted according to size of companies. But if you had created a basket of the S&P that's on an equal weight basis, and you compare that to the Nasdaq, which was up 2% yesterday, the equal weight basket of the S&P 500 was only up by 0.5%, or in fact, it might have been down by 0.5%.
Right.
And I think they were saying the last time that happened was 2000, which was shortly before the tech bubble burst.
Yeah.
So we've seen a couple of these sort of but historic statistics that suggest that bad things are going to come to the equity markets. But, you know, did we have the same sort of level of stimulus that was involved in the markets at that time?
Yeah, but does it really matter? I think, like you say, when a bubble's created, and eventually it will burst, and it will have a retracement. But you can't sort of like stick your neck out too far and say when it's going to happen. You just got to trade it as you see it. And at the moment, you wouldn't be selling this Nasdaq, not unless you see some decent reversal formation.
And if you are, you've got to have some seriously deep pockets to ride it out if you've got, that much of a bearish view.
Yeah, because it just can carry on going. You don't know what's going to come next. So, yeah, it's a really weird one.
Indeed it is. Ian, what are you looking at on the charts?
All sorts really this morning. Going back to me DMARC 13s, but I thought this was quite interesting. This is the dollar index. So again, what happens when you pick bottoms?
Dirty fingers.
Dirty fingers. But two bullish outside candles here on the last 8 hours worth of price action. Is it a mighty wedge?
Yeah.
So then the risk set up for me probably this morning would be to try and get long of that, and then just go into the other mumbles. This is euro dollar. So again, you've got some sort of decent trendline resistance. It's above a previous high. If you go to a daily chart, you've got some divergence, but it doesn't really mean too much to me. It can keep on going. But I thought this was quite interesting cable.
Yes.
So that really this previous swing high here. And if we go to the MT4 DMARC charts, we've got a 12, so a 13 often indicates the end of a trend and the start of a new downward bias. The 13 would get produced, so that's an hourly chart. So if the high of the 13 is higher than the two candles before, so now is probably not the time to short it if you're going to, because the 13 has to get back above here. Otherwise you get these regenerated count.
The 11 high.
It has to be above the call for a perfected 13 is the 13 has to be above the 8 candle, and the 13, the high of the 13 obviously on a sell trade has to be above the high of the 11.
The high has to be above, so it can be higher than.
If it went up and spiked above that 11 and then crashed like a lunatic, it would still be a 13.
As long as it's above the 8.
You just got as long as it's above the 8, which is going to be probably.
Okay.
So it's just a few sort of little rules. So normally you see that and jump on board and think, well, that looks like a lovely bearish outside candle, probably inverted hammer, blah 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 blah. But it might just tick up a little bit.
That's the hourly.
That's the hourly chart.
Yeah, the 4 hour is actually posting a shooting star candle at the moment after that rejection of the highs from this morning. So
I really like that.
There.
So that dollar index is looking even more interesting then, isn't it?
On that cable, Ian, if you look on the daily chart and go from the high to the low, up there, top left, Sorry, no, right down to the March
Yeah,
low.
I was going to extend it.
Yeah, no, if you do that as
here.
well, it goes bang onto pretty much onto the price action now. If you drew a fib from the high to the low.
What, from here to here?
Yeah.
61.8.
You got it. Bang.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
It's got trend line. You've got 78.6 on the shorter term time frame and a
right, we're all in.
61.8. yeah. Can we all go on the same trade today?
Yeah. So that's quite interesting. So that dollar index. What I was also going to say was euro sterling. Just going back to these doobies, because obviously it's sometimes nice to get a little bit of correlation. So you've got 12 counter here, which basically would mean if euro sterling goes up, then sterling goes up. Down. Euro goes up, sterling goes down in correlation. So it gives that sterling bias a bit more of weight to the downside. So we're all on cable.
Yeah, I'm trying to buy a dipping cable this morning, unfortunately.
Obviously.
A little bit lower, but that's. Yeah. But I'm just there's my short-term chart that I was looking at this morning, the 4-hour chart. It's obviously
let me put your screen
showed on. So this sort of like level of resistance here, the decent downward trending resistance. I shorted it yesterday, got stopped out, and today I'm sort of looking for maybe a retest of this downward trending resistance. So it's decision time around 126.25, I think. And if we do get a break there, this will get stopped out, and your trade idea will look very handsome indeed.
Who says it's my trade idea?
Well, who said I was talking to you? Joe's going to do it.
Now, this is the sterling Swiss chart. So I mean, I was looking at this anyway. I am looking on the intraday analysis to buy a dip because we've got this bullish channel. But prior to me writing the analysis this morning, I didn't see how we would react above these highs. So we've tried to break above the swing high that we saw on the 15th of July. We've had a little bit of a poke above it, maybe flushed out some stops, and then we've got this really quite meaty reversal on the hourly chart. So that, for me, could trigger some downward momentum down towards my actual intraday analysis entry point. So possibly a bit of an opportunity to sell it and stop above those highs.
God, you hedged your bets there, didn't you? You probably bought a garden. That's proper hedge, that is.
And the fence
could go up, but it's going down, but it could go up.
Yeah, trading in both ways, two-way markets.
It is. It's always a high or low.
It was mine.
Okay, so anything else before we move on to the gun to the head stuff? I'm going to very quickly skirt over that.
Yeah, definitely.
So we had 3 trades yesterday, as we always do. I went long of oil, too aggressive on the intraday. On the gun to the head call on that, and got stopped out. The intraday analysis actually worked out quite nicely, but obviously I had a gun to my head at the time, and that's what I went for, but got stopped out. Stopped out on NASDAQ. That went on to make new all-time highs. And Ian, you didn't get stopped out on Euro-Yen. It was a 0.28 loss, so better than a full kick in the face, just a little slap on that one.
Might go for that again today then, because it seemed to work out the second day round.
Yeah, it actually looks all right. I was looking at that myself for an intraday trade. Again, similar sort of thing, breaking above previous highs and reversing. So I'll hand it over to you if you've got one ready.
I'm just going to go. Go on, Stevie.
I think I bought Euro-Yen on the intraday trade. That did all right yesterday. That was my only winner yesterday on intraday.
Okay, perfect. Two-way markets again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
This dollar index.
Yeah.
I was going to go for cable, but I'll let one of you boys do that. So I'm going to go for glory again. 4-hour chart. I'll just get this stop in under there. There you go, 11R. Bomb.
Wow.
Long at 90. I've even given away 2 ticks. No. Long at 95.79. Targeting 97.81. Caveat: it won't get there today. It'll probably, if it gets anywhere, it'll probably get here and then maybe come back down to form a reverse head and shoulders pattern. Stop at 95.57, targeting 97.81.
Perfect.
Over the long term, I could ride that for a week up and down. Sounds interesting.
It's a week long term nowadays. Is that what it's become?
Yeah, that's it.
No, I'm actually think about the time. Think about the time scale. So that was from 23rd of June. Got to be looking at least by the time you boys go on holiday.
Oh yeah, holiday. Okay, cool. Steve, do you want to go?
No, you go first.
They're queuing for 2.5 hours to get on the beach in Spain, mate.
Are they?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the French Provence in the Alps. Okay, cable. So we touched upon it. This is a very much a zoomed in chart. We've got a confluence of fib levels here. We've got the 61.8%, which is on the daily chart. And we've got 78.6, which is on the intraday. You coming in, son? Sorry about that.
Get on the box.
Yeah. And we've got this big old reversal that's taken place over the last hour. So I'm going to sell it right now, which is at 26.75. Going to target a move down to 25.20 with a stop at 127.20. So 3.3 R on that.
Like it. Good luck.
Steve?
I suppose I'll go FTSE. Everyone's buying indices, so I'm going to sell it. I'm looking to really sell at 63.40, close to the previous swing high. But I'll get shorts here. 62.87. I'll have the stop just above the high, 63.15. And I'll have the bat phone. I'll have the target at down here. Let's go for it. 87. 7.14.
Wow, some big R from you guys today.
Going to be in to win it.
Yeah, you do. Okay, great. So we're going short of FTSE, short of cable, and long of the dollar index. So let's see how they work out.
Bugger all news coming out, isn't there?
We've got some Canadian retail sales, and we've got some Chicago Fed activity index numbers at 1:30. We do have some earnings out as well from the likes of Coca-Cola, Philip Morris, and Snap. But as you say, other than that, not a whole lot. Anything else on the old news that you guys have seen?
Not a lot. BHP hits record iron ore output. Why are you doing that? We don't need it at the moment.
Yeah.
We're in lockdown. We're in a pandemic, mate.
Yeah.
Slow down.
They've just been cut by Citigroup to neutral from buy. So
right,
didn't obviously go down too well according to Citigroup.
Yeah. Copper prices perked up a bit yesterday. Still hanging around that $3 level. So looking to target that resistance today, I think. So God knows why. We don't need it.
Yeah. So some news out from the Oxford vaccine developer Gilbert. End of year target for vaccine rollout is possibility, but not certainty.
Yeah.
So we're going to see more and more of that, I think.
Yeah.
Just checking, see if there's anything else out headline wise. Doesn't appear to be.
No, just be careful out there.
Be very careful, guys.
Is that what they used to say on chips, wasn't it? Or was it Starsky and Hutch? Chips. California Highway Patrol.
Before our time, that stage.
Very sad.
Okay, right. Let's wrap it up then, shall we?
Have a good one, lads.
Cheers.
Yeah, have a cracking day, guys. Speak to you all soon.
See you later.
Trade safe. Bye.
Bye.